scientists don't like to blow their own trumpet, and they really should sometimes. So yeah, he literally was a scientist and he just wanted to be able to take tea on picnic. Is that the weirdest analogy I've ever given? Probably. Which is the most British thing I've ever heard, and I love it. Back to the Future has some thanks to give, I think, to Christopher. Next one I think is interesting because of the reputation Brits have for having bad teeth. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, I am Yvette and I moved to the UK in May last year and I've been here almost a year and I'm documenting my experiences. I literally hit record and they literally turned that on. You cannot be joking. Well, we're back in just a few minutes. Some technical difficulties. We're back, sorry. I also have a wild dog that likes to come in and out of my videos. Hello. I'm eating you too somehow. So for this video, I wanted to make a video talking about the top British inventions that no one really realizes are British. I feel like America takes a lot of the glory in terms of inventions and people don't realize how much Brits did considering how impactful they were on the world, particularly in the Industrial Revolution and all that jazz. So I thought I'd make a video highlighting some of Britain's greatest achievements and we'll go from there. So these are just some of the ones that I had no idea about. So you might already know these, they might be common knowledge, but coming from a foreigner, these were not common knowledge to me. Number one, I think is absolutely no surprise to anyone who's been to England, but the thermo flask. So the flask that you put your tea in, shocking. They love tea so much they found a way to travel with it. And so that's a British invention, which makes sense. It was invented in 1892 by James someone. I'm not going to be like a history lesson. All you need to know is it was a flask. So yeah, he literally was a scientist and he just wanted to be able to take tea on picnics, which is the most British thing I've ever heard and I love it. The next invention is the lawnmower, which everyone has. Lawnmower was invented in 1827 and it was for the affluent to have good football and cricket pitches, which is surprising to no one. But then obviously it took off and there you go. Which makes sense because very British to think of a British garden with a very curated like hedge and like beautiful like flowers. Makes sense. Now this one, if I've got any Americans watching, will be a point of contention, I am sure, but I have my stats to back me up. The light bulb was invented by no, it wasn't invented by Thomas Edison. I got you. It was invented by Joseph Swan in 1880. He started manufacturing them in 1880. He had a patent, and at the time the only real competition was gas lights, and these were much better for the people because there was no residue, no smoke, etc. No smell, and they took off and they only lasted 12 hours. So I have no idea how much they would have cost because that would have been. But yeah, little known fact, not Thomas Edison. That's a good one for like trivia, you know, your pub trivia, and that's who invented the light bulb. And it's a trick question because really it's Joseph Swan. The next one, my personal favorite, is the chocolate bar. It was created in 1847 by Fry and Sons. Before this point, it was only consumed as like a drink, and then they created a mixture where they mix it with sugar and made it more of a solid that would then melt in your mouth, and that was the chocolate bar, which is fascinating. So it was also created in Bristol, so my Bristolians, claim to fame, chocolate, get royalties. Something we've all had at some time in our life is soda water, which was invented by the Brits, specifically Joseph Priestley in 1742. He created soda water. So he created the way to make soda water. However, Mr. Schweppes, whoever of Schweppes, I think we all know, ended up using that method to make soft drink, carbonated soft drink. And it was a bowl above some beer. And then that makes soda water. There you go. 1876 by Graham Bell, he invented the telephone, which the traditional telephone, rather than, you know, our traditional mobile phones have today. I don't know what he would think about that. Another huge one, so I'm covering off like all of the massive inventions I would say that have like transformed the 21st century. Is that like phones, we've got phones, light bulbs. We also have the television, which revolutionary, and I didn't know that. I honestly would have thought America invented the TV, but here we are. The TV was invented by John Bard and it was in 1925, so somehow older but also not as old as I thought, which is weird. So there's a bit of contention over who actually invented the TV. However, Jonathan Bard did actually project an image using television type materials first. However, he didn't patent it or protect it in any way, so he couldn't really reap the rewards of his invention. So that's why there's so many different people who took that technology and then tweaked it and made it their own, and then there you go, sold off. Next one I think is interesting because of the reputation Brits have for having bad teeth, but did you know that Brits invented the toothbrush? Before he invented the toothbrush, people were getting salt and soot and putting it on a rag and then brushing their teeth like that, and he was like, I think I got a better way. And so in 1770 he invented a toothbrush, and I cannot thank him more for it. There's so many inventions for the UK have invented, so like hip replacement, sewerage systems, all of like standard day-to-day stuff, but I'm here for the interesting ones, like the ones that you wouldn't think of. So for example, the UK invented hovercrafts. It was by Christopher Cockwell, and he was in 1953, and he just wanted to make his boat go faster, and then he ended up making it hover along the water. So Back to the Future has some thanks to give, I think, to Christopher. The UK also invented ATMs, something we all use almost every day. It was invented in 1967 by Joseph Sharon Barron, is that it? Shepherd Barron. And he invented ATMs because there was a machine installed outside of Barclays in 1967. However, because we didn't have credit cards yet, you would get a special check and you could insert it and put a pin in, and then it would give you £10 back. And then obviously it's taken off from there. But I often think before then, because I think they actually, before they came widespread, they didn't come widespread, I think, in Australia until like maybe the 80s, maybe even later. Because my parents would often mention how when they were young, they would have to go to the bank during the week and get their money out for the weekend, and the banks were closed on weekend. So if you didn't have enough money for the weekend, too bad. And I was like, as someone who lives in the 21st century, like, I've got 7 different ways I can pay for something, whether it's Apple Pay, credit cards, cash, a different credit card. There's always some way to buy something now. So the idea that you could have just literally been stuck with no cash is wild. Would have made saving a lot easier because you just can't access your money. So it's like when you're eating healthy and you buy healthy food at the store, and then you get home and then you want to crave snacks, but there aren't any and you can't get any. That's how I feel with the money situation. Is that the weirdest analogy I've ever given? Probably. I've saved the best till last, and I think it's the most impactful thing that's ever happened to the history of mankind, and it's a British invention, so you guys can claim it all your own. It is the World Wide Web. It was invented by Tim Berners-Lee, and it was almost called Tim, like the internet was almost called Tim, like the World Wide Tim or something. So he, in 1991, the year I was born, good year, connected a bunch of computers together and created a server, and then created the first ever web page which explained how to set up a website and how to use it to search things. So without that, the entire world would be different. And he gave away that invention for free. I don't think he's gotten any reward from it. He didn't pay anyone to use it. It was free domain, which is amazing. That would never happen now. Without him, you wouldn't be watching this video. You wouldn't know who I am. It's wild how much that's changed. So those were just some of my favorite British inventions that I had no idea about. Some of them make complete sense, like the thermoflask and that, but things like the internet, I think people don't give enough credit to the UK for inventing, because let's be honest, Brits don't like to blow their own trumpet, and they really should sometimes. You guys do have a lot to offer. You should be bragging more. America's getting all the brags in. But that's it for this video. I thought I'd just do a quick little fun one, just something random. I fell down the internet again, down a random click hole. So here we are. Anyways. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and remember to hit subscribe so I can see you next time. Please let me know in the comments if any of this was a surprise to you, because I definitely thought Thomas Edison did the light bulb. So I think it's been contested. I think he stole a lot of stuff. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think he was like infamously collectively stole a lot of people's inventions. But like, get that hustle, at least get your name out there. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Bye.